quick thank you to our sponsors for making this podcast possible. They keep this show free to listen to. Hey there, Peace and Parenting family. If you love the podcast but wish to enjoy it without interruptions, your wish has come true. Introducing the ad-free version of the Peace and Parenting podcast, available exclusively on Apple Podcast. As a subscriber, you'll get all the heartfelt advice, parenting stories, and actionable tips you love without any ads. For less than the cost of a coffee each month, you will enjoy uninterrupted listening while also supporting our work to help you build stronger connections with your kids. Try it out for free. Simply find Peace and Parenting on Apple Podcasts, click Try Free, and you'll gain immediate access to our ad-free episodes. There's no commitment and you can cancel anytime. So if you're ready for a more peaceful, uninterrupted listening experience, subscribe now. Let's keep focusing on connection without the distractions. Thanks for joining me on the Peace and Parenting podcast. I'm so glad you're here.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Coach Cami. I'm part of the Peace and Parenting coaching team. I've come through the coaching certification program with Peace and Parenting. Co-parenting work is really the area that I specialize in. I work with parents every week who are trying to raise good humans across two sets of rules. And this can include that co-parenting setup that I'm in right now, but it also can be two parents under one roof who have different styles. So everybody can relate to if you have a two-parent dynamic. A little bit more about me. I have two kids. I have an 8-year-old son, a 4-year-old daughter, and my 8-year-old was recently diagnosed with autism. He is high functioning, but it has definitely validated some of our experiences, hard moments, and all of that. And Peace and Parenting is an incredible tool for working with neurodivergent kids. So that's sort of where I'm coming from. I am a single mother, so I come from that sort of co-parenting dynamic. But I was also a parent in a two-parent household, so I get that as well. So yeah, if this is the first time that you're here, welcome. This is basically giving you an idea of the work we do at Peace and Parenting, and we're so glad to have you here. So I'm going to start with this, something that almost nobody prepares you for. You can do all the inner work. You can learn to stay calm, lead with connection, drop punishments. You can absolutely crush this parenting style, but there's something that we can't control. We can't control how another parent parents. Your child could live between two houses or the other side of your own house, where the parenting style you are practicing is not being used. There are different rules, a different tone, maybe screens are allowed, maybe there's consequences that are given that you don't give. So that's what we're covering today. Whether you're partnered and parenting differently than the person across the dinner table, or you're solo and parenting differently than the person across town, you have likely had these questions arise. What if we don't parent the same? How will this impact my child? And having these questions absolutely makes sense. I had them myself. You care deeply about your child's well-being, and being here today is a testament to that. But I want to offer you something that may actually surprise you. You don't need to parent the same as the other parent. You get to take this off your plate. You can stop sending the articles, the podcasts, book recommendations. You can stop getting into arguments. You can give up what you don't have control over and pour everything into what you do. So I'm going to start where I always start, which is talking about my own house. And actually, I'm going to go back and start in the house that I first became a parent. So that was a two-parent household with our son first. And then 4 years later, we welcomed our daughter. So at that time, I was married, and therefore, it was that two-parent household. In our home, I took the lead on all things baby and kid related. I absolutely loved it. I read the books, listened to the podcast, followed Instagram accounts. I was the one staying across it all. Whether it was like baby-led weaning or sleep schedules, I did the research and I implemented the practice. I was also trusted to do this, and my then partner totally let me take the lead. But then here's where things got hard. For me, I always knew I would parent differently than the way I was raised. So I set out, did what I always do. I began to research, and I ultimately found Peace and Parenting. It, like many of you, resonated so deeply. I knew that this was the parenting style I wanted to use. So I read the material, I listened to the podcast, I joined the community, and I did what probably all of you have done. I started sharing it with my partner. We discussed it, we even both agreed with it. And it made sense to both of us. It seemed like we were on the same page until it came to actually putting it into practice. I was full time at home with the kids for 7 years. And so I acknowledged that I had more opportunities to practice. And as I further immersed myself into peace and parenting, I became more comfortable with the tools. And from that, I have a really incredible bond with my two kids. I wanted that for their dad. I experienced such a beautiful feeling to be connected with my children, to be their safe space. And I was also certain that if we, as a united front, did not practice the same parenting style, it would be detrimental to our kids. So I tried everything to get him on board. I sent the articles, the podcasts, I lectured, I modeled, everything. I tried it. Sometimes it would be met with open-mindedness and curiosity. Other times, and this definitely became more frequent as our kids grew, it was met with contempt and frustration. I'm not going to do that. That doesn't work. They need to learn. Those were the reactions. And I was exhausted, I was stressed, and I was getting really, really worried. Then someone asked me a question that absolutely changed everything. They said, what if you can't control the other parent at all? And the only thing you actually get to build is your kid's relationship with you. I really wrestled with that question. It actually didn't make sense at first because it didn't align with my preconceived beliefs. Parents should parent the same way. They need to be a united front. But as I sat with this question a little bit longer, I began to actually feel a sense of relief. I have no control, a parent, and I can let go of trying to control. I get to take this off my plate. So this epiphany that I had took place while we were still a two-parent household. Now we're not. We're single parents parenting in two different homes. I'm actually really glad I learned this when we were together because honestly, I think it's harder to wrap your brain around this concept when you're partnered and parenting in the same home. In your shared home, you observe each other parenting. You hear the outcome of their parenting. The kids come running to you when they're upset with how the other parent handled something. When kids are going between two homes, you still deal with the outcome of their parenting style, but it's not taking place in front of you. So the most important takeaway is that it doesn't matter if your kids are parented in one house or two, you don't have to parent the same. So here is the assumption that many of us have been working from as parents. We've been told that what kids need above all else is consistency. The exact same rules, the same bedtime, the same consequences, enforced identically in every aspect of their life. And so when the other house won't match us or our partner won't get on the same page, this can lead to panic setting in. We think the difference itself is damaging. Think about it. Your child already knows the rules at school are not the rules at grandma's. The rules on the soccer field are not the rules at the library. They are code switching all day long, and it doesn't break them. Kids are extraordinary at reading a room and knowing what's expected in it. I honestly don't think we give them enough credit for that. What actually destabilizes a child is not two different parenting styles. It's the emotional whiplash. It's a parent so anxious about how the other parent parents that the child can never relax with either one. It's being made the messenger, the spy, the referee. It's the child loving two people who are at war over them. And safety and connection is something you can build entirely on your own. It does not require the other parent's cooperation. It does not require your partner to suddenly agree with you. A child who has one home or one parent under one roof, where they are met with warmth, where their feelings are welcome, where they're not asked to carry the adult's conflict, is a child with a foundation. One safe base changes the whole trajectory. I want to give you a little bit of insight into some research. I think this really matters, especially for the parent who's afraid their parenting solo style can't possibly be enough against everything else. One stable, attuned relationship is protective. This is what the research says. Decades of attachment and resilience research point to the same finding. Children do not need every adult in their life to be attuned to them. They need at least one consistent, responsive relationship to build security on. A single, dependable bond buffers stress and predicts better long-term emotional outcomes, even when other parts of a child's world are inconsistent. Getting back to that research, you do not have to unite with the other co-parent. You do not have to convert your partner. You just have to be the one consistent, responsive relationship. And that on its own is one of the most protective things in a child's entire life. So we can stop sending our energy trying to control what happens in the other room or in the other house, and we can spend it becoming so reliably safe that their nervous system settles when they're with you. This next area is going to be a little more specific to a co-parenting dynamic where the kids are going between two homes, but it definitely resonates in a two-parent home. So here are 5 places our energy quietly leaks toward the home we can't control and what we can do with that energy instead. So the first one, when we're making our child the messenger. Tell your dad this, ask your mom why. Even these small relays put your child in the middle of an adult relationship. And to a kid's nervous system, carrying messages between two people they love is a job, and it will cost them. So instead, adult business goes adult to adult, even when it's hard, even by text. Your child's only job is to be a kid in both homes. For my example, one of us is often with the kids. So our conversations almost always happen when one of us is commuting to work and we know that the other is not with the kids, to ensure that they're not there when we're trying to have those adult to adult conversations. 2, debriefing the other house the second they walk in. What did you do over there? Did you brush your teeth? Did she let you stay up? It feels like care, but to your child, it can feel like an interrogation about a place they also love. And now they're managing your feelings about it. I'm super guilty of this. I I want to know what it was like, and sometimes I have to question my motives for why I want to know what their experience was like. So instead, the first 10 minutes are for reconnection, not inspection. Get down low. I missed you. I am so glad you're home. Information can wait. The reunion can't. The next one, number 3, correcting the other parent in front of the kids. And this is for every kind of living situation. Undercutting your partner's call in the moment doesn't teach your child your way is right. It teaches them that adults aren't safe together and that they have to pick. So instead, disagree in private, align where you can, let the small stuff go in front of the kids. A united enough front beats a perfect but warring one every time. A united enough front beats a perfect but warring one every time. I love it. United enough. 4, letting your face tell the story. You don't have to say a word against the other house. Kids read the jawline, the sigh, the tone when their name comes up. They will absorb your contempt long before they understand the reasons for it. And they feel it about half of themselves. That's their other parent. Instead, being neutral. Neutral is the skill we want to bring. You have a different bedtime at dad's. That's okay. In our home, it's this. No editorial, just calm, clear, in our house steadiness. And the 5th one, the final one, pouring yourself into the fight instead of the child. Every ounce of energy spent strategizing about the other parent, rehearsing the argument, building the case is an ounce not spent on the 10 minutes of connection that actually changes your child's life. So instead, we want to redirect. When you catch yourself spiraling about the other house, ask yourself, what can I do with this energy that my child would actually feel? These 5, the messenger, the interrogation, public correction, the face, the fight, are how loving good parents accidentally pour their power into the one house they can't change. None of them come from not loving your child. All of them come from how much you do. And that says a lot. The next area is going to be putting things into practice. 3 practices. They're not theoretical. These are what I walk my one-on-one clients through. You can start with them today, and not one of them requires the other parent to do anything. So the first practice, the 10-minute reentry. Transitions between homes are one of the hardest parts of a child's week. So the moment they come back to you, or the moment a partnered evening turns tense in a two-parent household, you do nothing but reconnect for 10 minutes. No questions about the other house, no rules, no corrections, just your presence. Play, get on the floor, sit next to them. Let them remember in their body that this place is safe. Practice 2, they do it different sentence. I lean on this a lot. I also use this with friends and family who are not on board with this parenting style. When your child tells you the other house or the other parent does it differently, you don't argue, you don't defend, or even criticize. You give them one calm sentence. Yep, they do it differently than I do. That sentence does 3 things at once. It holds your boundary, it refuses to put down the other parent, and it tells your child they don't have to choose. Say it the same way every time until it's the steadiest thing that you and they know. Yep, they do it differently than I do. For practice 3, take your conflict off your child's shoulders out loud. When there's tension with the other parent, your child can feel it. They always can. So name what's yours and hand it back to yourself where they can hear it. Your mom and I don't agree about this right now, and we're working it out together. You don't have to pick a side or worry about it. You just get to be a kid, and we both love you. This is one of the most important things a co-parent or a partnered parent can say, because it's telling your child, this conflict is mine to carry. You just get to be a kid in this house. I want you to try this week. Next time your child mentions the other house, but dad lets me do this, or mom doesn't make me do this, catch that urge to defend or correct. Instead, take a breath and try the they do it different sentence. Exactly as it's written. Then watch what happens. Most kids aren't actually asking to change the rule. They're asking whether they're allowed to love both homes. When your answer is calm, they relax because you just told them yes. I want to get a sense of which of those 3 practices is feeling like it will be particularly hard to do. The 10-minute reentry or connection, they do it differently sentence and staying neutral about the other parent, taking the conflict off your child's shoulders and naming what's yours and saying it out loud, or is it all 3? And again, this is what practice is feeling the hardest, what would be the hardest to put into practice. So let's talk about a practical roadmap for this week. 5 things to do this week, all on your side of the fence and none requiring the other parent. So step 1, protect the first 10 minutes. Every reentry, every tense evening, reconnection before information. No debrief of the other house at the door, no talking about how the other parent handled something, just connection. Step 2, learn one sentence by heart. Different houses, different rules. In our house, we do it this way, and both places love you. Yep, I do it this way, and dad does it another way. We both love you. Say it until it feels like second nature. Step 3, take your child out of the middle. No messages relayed through them, no venting to them. Adult business stays adult to adult, even when it's harder that way. For step 4, hand the conflict back to yourself out loud. Once this week, if there's tension that they can feel, this is grown-up stuff. It's not yours to carry. And finally, step 5, redirect one spiral. The next time you catch yourself building the case against the other house, try to stop. Put that energy into 10 minutes of special time instead. Phone away, they choose the activity, no agenda, just connection. That's the work. None of it is theoretical, and all of it can start today. And all of this is yours to do. Again, it doesn't have to involve the other parent. I'm going to tell you about a mom that I worked with last year. She came to us for coaching. She was absolutely exhausted. She was at war with her ex. There were different rules, different values. A house she was certain was undoing everything she was building. Every handoff was a battle. Every Sunday was a cleanup. And her son was caught in the middle of it. Her son started going quiet, careful, watching both parents to figure out which feeling was safe to have. So I asked her one question. If you could not change a single thing about the other house, what would you do differently in yours? She sat with that. You could tell her she was really mulling it over. And then she stopped fighting the house she couldn't reach. She protected those first 10 minutes. She learned and used that one sentence, and she took her son out of the middle and put the conflict back on her own shoulders out loud. And we worked with this for a while. A few months in, she told me her son said something at bedtime he'd never said before. He said, "I like it here. It's calm here. Not better than the other house, not against this dad, just calm and safe." That's what will change when you're doing this work. When you stop trying to control the world your child lives in, you begin to become the steadiest place in it. This next area is getting to how your child feels is more important than anything the other partner can say or the other parent can say. So I'm going to be sharing with you a very personal story. About a year and a half ago, I began dipping my toes into the dating world after being separated for quite some time. This was a pretty nerve-wracking experience after the ending of a 13-year marriage, but I braved the waters, I took the leap, and I ended up going on a date with a dad of 2 tween daughters. He was very intrigued by the work that I did as a parenting coach, and he began sharing with me his frustrations because his daughters were no longer coming over to his house. And I could totally see that he was obviously trying to pick my brain. Um, and he shared with me that it was the mom's fault. She talks bad about me to the girls. She turned them against me. They used to do overnights 3 times a week, and now they come over for dinner a couple times a week. All I could give him was empathy. That sounds really hard. I'm sorry you're experiencing that. But what I was actually thinking inside is I knew what was happening. When your child feels safe with you, there's literally nothing anyone could ever say that would change how they feel and how they interact with you. So I know this dad loves his daughters, and I could tell he was feeling so disappointed that his daughters were not spending as much time with him. But it was also very clear that his daughters didn't feel safe to be their full selves in his home. They clearly did with their mom, or at least more so. So if this was a client of mine, I would direct them to seek ways of connecting with their daughters, allowing them to have all their feelings and be their full selves. It's not going to lead to a change overnight. Slowly, as they felt more safe, they would spend more time with their dad. And again, I bring that up because particularly in a 2-house co-parenting environment, if there is antagonism, if there is comments being made, again, there's just nothing that anyone could ever say that would change how a child feels about you. That feeling is always going to override the words because your child is going to feel that disconnect. This parent is saying this, but this is how I feel with this parent. Those don't match. Stop fighting the other house you can't reach. Just for 1 week, let it go. Take all of that energy, the text, the case building, the Sunday night cleanup, and pour it into the first 10 minutes when your child walks through your door. Get on the floor, get close to them. I'm so glad you're home. And watch what one safe house starts to do. I love seeing the support come through. Now, something that I absolutely need to touch on is what if the other house is actually harmful, not just different? First, name clearly different rules are one thing. A child's real safety is another. So if there is genuine danger, abuse, neglect, a child who isn't safe, that isn't actually co-parenting, right? That is going to take a strategy that goes beyond coaching and parenting styles. And we can support you in finding resources that would help with that if it's going beyond just parenting differences and you know if that's occurring. So if you are feeling like, no, there is actual safety issues, you can still see if we can get you some resources. But that is going beyond the actual coaching of parenting styles.
Thank you for joining me on the Peace in Parenting podcast. I'll see you next time. Hey there, Peace and Parenting family. If you love the podcast but wish to enjoy it without interruptions, your wish has come true. Introducing the ad-free version of the Peace and Parenting podcast, available exclusively on Apple Podcast. As a subscriber, you'll get all the heartfelt advice, parenting stories, and actionable tips you love without any ads. For less than the cost of a coffee each month, you will enjoy uninterrupted listening while also supporting our work to help you build stronger connections with your kids. Try it out for free. Simply find Peace and Parenting on Apple Podcasts, click Try Free, and you'll gain immediate access to our ad-free episodes. There's no commitment and you can cancel anytime. So if you're ready for a more peaceful, uninterrupted listening experience, subscribe now. Let's keep focusing on connection without the distractions.